Cam Ward will be the second best quarterback in the AFC South this year. That may not sound great, but it's going to mean incredible things for the Tennessee Titans. I'll rank the AFC South on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. On today's show, we are going to rank every single offensive position group in the AFC South. I'm going to tell you where the Titans land. I'll tell you why I'm worried about their ranking at offensive line. I'm excited about the jump up at wide receiver. And, of course, we got to talk about why I think Cam Ward could be the second best quarterback in the division and why that's a great thing. But first, I want to talk about how these teams stack up overall as a squad. And I think right now, it would only be fair to have the Tennessee Titans number 4. You would have, I think, Jacksonville number 1, Houston number 2, Indianapolis number 3, and the Titans number 4. That's the only fair way to do it. That's how they should rank going into the season. But I have to tell you, by the end of the year, I think that the Houston Texans are going to be very, very good this year. And we're going to talk about each of these individual teams, what they've done this offseason, how the Titans can face off against them, how they match up, get some on-the-ground coverage from our Locked On host throughout the rest of the week as it's AFC South Rivals Week. But I think by the end of the year, I see the Texans having a very, very good year and being number 1. Jacksonville taking a little bit of a step back. Indianapolis taking a big step back, and the Titans jumping Indianapolis. So as for the teams themselves, I would go Houston, Jacksonville, Titans, Colts by the end of the season. But talking about the quarterbacks specifically, and we'll flesh out where the Titans land in the division as a team overall more as the summer continues. But for quarterbacks, I think right now you would have to have Cam Ward last, right? You would have probably Trevor Lawrence number 1, Daniel Jones number 2, CJ Stroud number 3, Cam Ward number 4, just based on the one-year performance. Now, we contextualize that performance, right? And we know the coaching, the wide receivers, the O-line, the game flow of each game, and the fact they were losing and teeing off pass rushers, getting to Cam Ward and all that stuff. We know, but that's how, if you were trying to be fair and reasonable, if you weren't a Titans fan, you'd have to rank it that way. But I will tell you, by the end of the season, again, I think Cam Ward will be the second best quarterback in the division. Look, Trevor Lawrence, I think, was overrated for the beginning of his career, but over the last couple of years has become underrated now. I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I think he's somewhere between 12 and 20. You know what I mean? In the NFL quarterback rankings. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. And I think the Jags have a good offensive line. I think that they have the best wide receiver group in the division, as we'll talk about here in a moment. I think Liam Cohen is an excellent offensive coach. So I think Trevor Lawrence is talented. He has become underrated. I will have him at number 1, but I'm going to have Cam Ward at number 2 by the end of the year. And I think that's a 2-part conversation, in my opinion. The first part is my belief in Cam Ward. I think that Cam Ward is a much better player than the numbers tell you last year. And I would imagine most of you guys who have watched the film breakdowns I've done on Cam, listened to the conversations that we've had on this show with the context, watched him yourself. You've seen the highlights. You've seen everything. You've watched the games. We know that Cam Ward is much more talented than what his statistics or what you would think from the lowlights. We know that. So if I believe in Cam Ward's talent and they get him much better weapons, which we'll talk about how the wide receiver group has gotten off the mat, baby. We're not last anymore. But much better weaponry for Cam Ward. Much better. Even if you don't like Brian Daboll, even if you're a Brian Daboll doubter, you have to admit that he's a better football coach than Brian Callahan and a better guy to develop Cam Ward than Brian Callahan, right? Right? Even a skeptic, even a downright hater would have to admit that Brian Daboll is a better coach for Cam Ward than Brian Callahan. So the improvements there, hopefully the general improvement in the team, which, again, we cannot overstate how hard it was for Cam Ward to play when the team was losing every single game and losing big in a lot of games, losing early in a lot of games. Teams could just tee off, pass rushers, pin their ears back. The Titans had one of the worst run games in the entire NFL. Brian Daboll has historically had very good run offenses, better than his pass offenses. So if I know that Cam Ward is super talented, and I know that his situation has vastly improved in certain areas, and I add in that I think the Texans are going to be very good this year, but I don't think C.J. Stroud is special at this point. I think C.J. Stroud is like Jared Goff. He could be Jared Goff at his best. He's never going to be Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, in that class of player. I don't think that C.J. Stroud is better than Baker Mayfield at this point. And I was a C.J. Stroud believer. And I think that C.J. Stroud, again, I think you could win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Your team has to be incredible everywhere else. I think the Texans could win the AFC with C.J. Stroud. If Stroud plays 25% better than what he played in the playoffs. Just don't have all the crushing turnover. Like the Texans would have been in the Super Bowl if Stroud just played the level he played at his rookie year. Now, his rookie year was special. I don't even need rookie year Stroud. If he plays a little under rookie year Stroud with what the Texans have, they'll be fine. But Cam Ward is more talented. To make special plays. Cam Ward is going to make more special plays than C.J. Stroud. Now, C.J. Stroud, probably down to down, more accurate, more precise, more of a pocket passer, more Joe Burrow than Patrick Mahomes, for certain. But if Stroud is going to have the inconsistency that we saw the last couple of years and have since Bobby Slowick left, why would I believe he would be better than Cam Ward, even if his team? See, I think the Texans' O-line got better. The Texans have a good wide receiver group. Their running backs got better. We'll talk about all that when we talk about the Texans for an episode. But the Texans can be awesome this year and Cam Ward be better than C.J. Stroud is basically my point. And I think that's what's going to happen. And Daniel Jones, man, I'm telling you, I just don't buy it. Everybody can talk about the injuries and all of that. The last couple of games of Daniel Jones last year, it was starting to come back down to earth. And their weapons are worse. I think the O-line is a little bit worse. It's still a good offensive line. We'll talk about that. But I think the weapons are a little worse. Daniel Jones coming off a major injury in each leg when he's a guy who uses his mobility. The Colts roster in general is just a little bit worse. They may not be winning as much. And what are the odds that Jonathan Taylor goes on the first half tear that he went on last year? Nobody knew what to expect with Daniel Jones at quarterback for the Colts. Now they do. I think that changes things. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, man. I got to shout out one of my old school buddies. If they're listening, they know who they are. But we used to fight about Tua and Daniel Jones all the time. He would say Tua's better. I'd say Daniel Jones is better. And it's hilarious how throughout their careers, it has gone back and forth of, oh, look, Daniel Jones, he wins the playoff game. He's definitely better than Tua. Then Tua goes to the playoffs, has a great year with Mike McDaniel. He's definitely better than Daniel Jones. He's terrible. Then Daniel Jones is resurgent. He's definitely better than Tua. And Tua will have a good year with the Falcons. Daniel Jones will have a bad year with the Colts, and it'll go back. And me and him will argue for the rest of eternity like we do, like Magneto and Professor X. But the point is, I think Daniel Jones is primed for a downfall. I don't think the Colts are as good this year as they were last year. They're not going to be able to recapture that magic. I think it's much more likely that the Colts have a complete blow up after the season and they get rid of Shane Steichen. They get rid of Chris Ballard. They totally restart there. they accept Daniel Jones has one more left on a bad contract and they try to totally restart. I think that's more likely than the Colts recapturing their first half magic. So I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be better than Cam Ward. Now, Daniel Jones looked good last year. So again, if you're doing the rankings right now, sure, having Cam Ward over Daniel Jones to someone else may sound crazy. But to me, again, I think Cam Ward is going to be the second best quarterback in the division this year. And I think that means the Titans are going to win a lot more games. And it's going to be a lot more fun to watch them play. And I think a big reason why Cam Ward is going to be able to move up the rankings this year and finish the year at number 2, potentially number 1, is because the wide receivers got a lot better. And is it nice to see the Titans moving up that list? Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now, FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked in to every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. And if you wanted more goals in the United States' next match, you're going to get them because Flo Balogun is playing in the game. What a miraculous turnaround. Thank you, FIFA, I guess. Side eye. Crazy decision, but we will take it nonetheless. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Again, we're ranking the offensive positions in the AFC South. I talked about the teams overall at the beginning, and the Titans are in 4th right now, but I think they'll climb up to 3rd throughout the year. I think Cam Ward will climb from 4th right now all the way up to 2nd in the division by the end of the year, and it's a great thing, and a big reason is the wide receivers. Before we dive into the wide receiver rankings, do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you need to be one. On tomorrow's show, we're going to rank the head coaches and rank the defensive side of the ball, so make sure that you don't miss that. And it's rivalry week, so we're going to talk Jaguars, Colts, Texans. They each get their own episode. Ton of good content coming your way. Make sure you stay locked in with the number 1 Tennessee Titans podcast in the world, Locked On Titans. But with that being said, I have the Tennessee Titans. Right now, I think you would say the Titans are 3rd in the wide receiver rankings. So they have moved up from 4th to 3rd, in my opinion, already, just based on the offseason. The Colts are last after replacing Michael Pittman Jr. with, I might have said Michael Portman or Michael Porter Jr. earlier, because I've been thinking about NBA free agency and the Lakers moves and all this different stuff. But Michael Pittman Jr. being replaced by Nick Westbrook-Akine is not a very good replacement for the Colts if you want a good wide receiver group. If you have Nick Westbrook-Akine as one of your starting wide receivers, I'm going to rank you last, like I did with the Titans most of the time. I'm going to rank you last. So the Colts are last, in my opinion, no matter what. I would put the Titans 3rd right now, just based on preseason rankings. I think the Texans, because Nico Collins, I expect Nico Collins to be a better player than Carnell Tate. I don't think that Carnell Tate will be as good as Nico Collins. So I give them the edge of that. Jaden Higgins, Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Noel is really good depth. I would say that's almost good or better than the Titans' depth with DK and Ridley and Io Manor. Tank Dell, when Tank Dell was healthy, he's absolutely phenomenal. And I would say, you could say he's just as good, if not better, than Wan'Dale Robinson. So if I think Nico Collins is better than Carnell Tate and a healthy Tank Dell is better than Wan'Dale Robinson, and their depth is close to the Titans' depth, which I would take Ridley, DK, Io over Higgins, Hutchinson, Noel. I would take the Titan, but if I have Nico and Tank Dell better, I got to give them the edge. And then I think the Jags wide receiver group is absolutely ridiculous. BTJ, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, add Travis Hunter in there. That top four, I think that might be the best top four in the entire NFL. So I am very high on Jacksonville's wide receiver group. But I think that by the end of the year, I think the Titans could be number 2. Because if Ridley stays healthy, Ridley, Robinson, Tate, that top 3 is better, in my opinion, than Collins, Higgins, Dell. Like the total top. Because if Calvin Ridley is healthy the entire season, he is better, a good bit better than Jaden Higgins, in my opinion. Even though he's getting older, I think Higgins is a good player. I see Higgins as like a Michael Pittman Jr. type guy. That's how I see Jaden Higgins. That's who I compared him to coming out of college. But Calvin Ridley, healthy, in a good offense, with Carnell Tate as the number 1 and Wan'Dale Robinson getting attention in the slot, giving Calvin Ridley free run to roam around the field, that's better than Jaden Higgins. So the Titans' top 3 could be better than the Texans. And if Chim DK or Alec Iomanor, if one of them takes a step forward to be a starting level wide receiver, that's better than the Texans. So I think the Titans will finish the season at number 2. And then I'm still keeping the Jags number 1. I can't change that. I can't do that. So that's where I'm at with the wide receiver group. But let me just say this. For the Titans to move up from last to 3rd, and maybe during the season, maybe some of you guys already say they're second best already. Okay, maybe that is the case. I hope you're right. I just need proof before I can put them there. Call me a skeptic, which I am. That's fair. But I'm just saying, it's nice, even though it's a spot. And I think they could move up 2 spots, and it feels good. And if Carnell Tate is an absolute dog, if he truly is a number 1 wide receiver, if Carnell Tate is in the Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton, Drake London, well, Cortland Sutton maybe isn't quite as good as those other guys, but, I kind of see them in they're not the elite Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka, JSN. They're not quite there. Like Terry McLaurin, Nico Collins, Drake London, like that group. If Carnell Tate is in that group, folks, we're lit. You know what I mean? Like hype. But we're moving, and that's what's important. I think if there's any position that you could look at on the Titans this year that wasn't solved, that you could look at and say, hey, maybe they solved it, wide receiver is probably the one. It ain't maybe corner if Marcus Harris is good, but I don't believe that it's edge. It's definitely not offensive line. Wide receiver, cornerback, we hope. I'm skeptical on corner more than I am wide receiver. So give the Titans there. Do want to mention the tight ends. Just quickly, we'll throw the tight ends in here. Number 1 has to be the Colts, right? I mean, come on. And I think right now, if you were fair, right now people would probably rank the Titans last. It'd be the Colts because Tyler Warren is the best tight end in the division. Probably the Texans, Dalton Schultz, Foster Moreau, just solid veterans who you know who they are. Brenton Strange and Nate Berkshire, the new rookie controversial draft pick of the Jags. Them and Bellinger and Gunnar Helm are probably fighting for the 3rd or 4th spot, I would say. But I think by the end of the year, the Titans are going to be number 2 there. I feel very confident in that. I think Gunnar Helm is really going to break out this year. I think he's going to have 600-700 yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns, 50 to 60 catches. I think Gunnar Helm is about to go crazy. And Daniel Bellinger is going to be a key piece. I think Daniel Bellinger is just as good as Foster Moreau, or Daniel Bellinger might be just as good as Dalton Schultz this year. Schultz is getting a little older. So I think the Titans are going to be number 2. And listen, I think Helm and Bellinger are a better 1-2 than Warren and Mo Alley Cox or whoever else the Colts are going to have as their number 2. But Warren is just so good, man. They got to take the number 1 spot. But the Jags, Brenton Strange just got a contract extension. He's not bad. Maybe the Jags will be over the Texans because I think Schultz will take a step back. But Brenton Strange is just okay. Gunnar Helm's going to be better than him. Get out of here with that. But we got to go to the run game, to the trenches, running back, offensive line, where I think the Titans maybe have their best ranking preseason-wise and also definitely their worst ranking preseason-wise. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. You got one app for accounting, you got another for inventory, you got another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales to accounting to inventory to marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. That's true in sports, just like it is in business. The Titans obviously trying to get everybody on the same page to work towards the goal of taking back the AFC South. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Again, we're ranking the offensive position groups on the AFC South. We've talked quarterback, we've talked wide receiver, we've talked tight end, we talked about the teams overall, and we'll dive more into my thoughts on all the AFC South teams throughout the week. It's AFC South rivalry week. Do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Speaking of every day, you guys got to join the Locked On Titans Everydayer Club. Hit the link down below in the description. Make sure that you get joined up if you want to be a true Locked On Titans every day. You're going to get commercial-free versions of the podcast in your favorite podcast app. You're going to get added to a Locked On Titans group chat. You're going to get early access to my content. I'm going to send early links in there for you guys for the film breakdowns this season. A lot coming your way in terms of value in the Locked On Titans Everydayer Club. Make sure you hit the link down below in the description and join today. With that being said, though, let's do the good news first before the bad news. The running backs. I think right now you have to say the Titans have the second best running back group in the AFC South. Period. Quite honestly, if you wanted to really hammer down that it's the running back group, the Titans clearly have the best. The Titans have the best running back group by far, because after Jonathan Taylor, who is clearly the best running back in the division, after Jonathan Taylor, DJ Giddens, they just brought in Seth McGowan out of Kentucky, Ulysses Bentley, that's a creative player, undrafted free agent from last year, but they're terrible outside of Jonathan Taylor. If anything were to happen to Jonathan Taylor, that run game is in trouble. DJ Giddens is okay. It's okay. But he's like a 2 or 3 in a committee. He's not the dog that Jonathan Taylor is, one of the top 6 or 7 running backs in the NFL, if not higher. So if you wanted to really put it on depth, then the Titans are the best. But come on, man. Jonathan Taylor, I can't put the Titans running back group over the Colts. So running back group rankings right now and at the end of the season, I don't see them changing. The Colts are number 1. The Titans are number 2. The Texans are number 3. And the Jags are 4. I don't understand Jacksonville's approach to running back. They let Travis Etienne, whatever. All he did there by doing that is make everybody have to say his name twice. But they're really relying on Bishal Tootin, who had a fumbling problem in college, is explosive, but on Chris Rodriguez, who was with Liam Cohen at Kentucky, LaQuint Allen, Amir Abdullah they brought in. There's not a lot to like right there. So that's last place for me. Bringing in David Montgomery, who's a solid back, and Woody Marks, who I think is an explosive running back and decent backup. I think that's better than Bishal Tootin and Chris Rodriguez. Give me David Montgomery and Woody Marks over that. Now, again, I think there's a huge gap before you get to Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, and even added Nick Singleton. And then Jonathan Taylor above all. But, running back is probably the spot where the Titans have the most certainty of having a good ranking within the division. Now, sadly, we got to come here once again, the offensive line. I didn't feel as confident about this. I think the Colts might take a step back this year. The Jags' offensive line was pretty good last year. I think the Texans' offensive line got a lot better as well. So, I don't know. I don't quite know how to feel about the offensive line. You'd have to rank them right now. Colts number 1. I think you'd say Jags number 2, Texans number 3, and Titans 4. Because the Jags were good last year. The Colts were awesome until Daniel Jones got hurt. The Texans' offensive line wasn't great, but it was better than the Titans. I think the Texans' offensive line had some good additions, like Keelan Rutledge, who they stole from the Titans, or the Titans were trying to steal from them, is really the best way to put it. You add Wyatt Teller, who, when healthy, is a good player. Ursery was better than I expected in year 1. And Braden Smith, I think that's a big loss for the Colts, because now he's going to be the right tackle for the Texans. And Jalen Travis at right tackle for the Colts, I don't know about that. Quentin Nelson's a year older. Bernard Raymond's a year older. Matt Goncalves, Tanner Bortolini are okay players, good. But I could see the Colts offensive line finally taking a step back. Houston's taking a step up. Jacksonville's is just solid. But I don't think the Titans is going to move. Maybe if J.C. Latham balls out and Dan Moore has an above average year. Schlottman does good. Jackson Slater takes a huge jump forward. Maybe the Titans can move up. But I'm sorry, I don't see Cordell Volson or Jackson Slater, Austin Schlottman as good enough guys to raise the Titans' rankings. If J.C. Latham gets better and Latham turns into the player that we hoped he would be, and he's a really good starting left or right tackle, and Pete is still a top 5 guard, it's likely that Dan Moore is probably still an average to below average tackle who will want replaced after the year. And then Schlottman will be a replacement level center who will say, oh, we kind of need to improve there. He's okay. And guard will say, we still don't have an answer. That's what I fear we're actually looking. I think that's the most likely outcome, is we're getting a right guard in free agency next year because we don't have one. And we're trying to take a left tackle early in the draft. That's my expectation. Right guard in free agency, left tackle in the draft. Keep Schlottman one more year. There you go. That's where we'll probably be. And then one of Coogan, Fernando Carmona, Jackson Slater, one of those guys will find a way to compete with Schlottman at center, and maybe they take it long term, but I doubt it. So, I mean, that's where I expect the Titans to be. There's no way I could rank them any higher than 4th in the rankings. So again, by the end of this year, I think Cam Ward will be the second best QB in the division. I think the Titans will still have the second best running back group. I think they'll have the second best wide receiver group. I think they'll have the second best tight end group. And I think they'll have the worst offensive line. And I think that'll make the Titans a much, much more competitive football team. But again, tomorrow, we're going to do head coaches and we're going to do defense. Can't wait to dive into that. That's going to do it for me today, though, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.